Yeah. All right, cool. I got one more question. I want to.
All right, I probably have a brilliant answer. Let's try it.
Cool. It may not be a brilliant question.
All right, we'll see.
Okay, so back to kind of the warrior thing. I've got a phrase that I use to describe societies, and that is like, I picture that societies have to have walls and spears on their external side.
Sure.
Right, and it's similar to like. I mean, everything has to have some sort of structural integrity to it to keep anything of value inside, right? Your home, a cell.
Even the Garden of Eden had walls.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, my skull, the brain
right.
is protected by some sort of structural integrity of some sort. So you're a guy who has spent a lot of time forming and maintaining those walls and spears, and also seeing the stuff on the other side of that. So I'm thinking maybe you have some thoughts about, and so the other side of what I say is that what we're protecting can fall under some of the categories of, I can't remember if it was Plato or Socrates that talked about the good, the beautiful, and the true, right? Because what's the point of having all the warrior stuff if you're not protecting something good, beautiful, true, right? Then we're just going around fighting, you said, over resources, right? But aren't we maintaining some good and beautiful and true things in life too, right?
Well,
So
we're also passing on our DNA.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to give you a big answer, right? So the big answer is this: our senses are calibrated to the time scales that are best for our DNA to push itself forward.
Okay.
Okay. So that doesn't mean that that's the only calibration that could be.
Right.
So if you looked at the surface of the Earth and you were calibrated towards geologic time, the undulations of the mountains would look like waves on the ocean.
Okay.
Okay. So if you bring that back into what it means to be, what those words you were saying mean, beautiful, true, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So true would probably mean in harmony with the way the world actually works.
Right.
So when we say something is true, it's like we have all this universe going on around us. And if you're a liar, what you're doing is putting something in there that's like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why it doesn't work out. Right? So, right? And so what's beautiful? Well, beautiful really is the things that we value.
Yep.
Right? So why do you value a beautiful person of the opposite sex? Why? Well, because it's about procreation, right? You are genetically programmed to value the things that make you more likely to succeed in the competition so that you can procreate.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I hate to be biological, but man, we're animals.
Yeah.
You know, our brains are they're a biological product of evolution. Our thought patterns are a biological product of evolution. Our value systems, our stories, our everything about us, right? I took 2 classes in my undergraduate degree on population dynamics. One on human population dynamics and another one on population dynamics of all other species, right? Here's the most interesting thing. They're almost exactly the same. We like to think, so we have this hubris that we're different, right? That the rules that apply to field mice or whatever don't apply to us, but they mostly do, right? Like so our populations work in almost the same ways. You know, we're like a competitive hive species, right? Like our groups fight each other just like those wolf packs do, and we are fighting over resources, and we're doing it in ways that are not necessarily just overt conflict, but like migration is, et cetera, et cetera. And that is our DNA competing with all the other human DNA out there in order to be the ones that go forward. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I mean, even something I was thinking of just now, to think of something that that I think of as a beautiful thing, like say memories with your family.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about being in the moment, being one of the things in positive psychology for happiness. Well, doesn't that, if we become attuned to that, if I had no receptors or whatever it is for that would argue for, or that wouldn't reinforce perpetuate familial life, right?
So why do you, as an independent organism, why do you suppose that your brain would tell you that those things are beautiful? Well, that's because that's the models you received for how to raise children,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's the model you received that's most likely to push your DNA
Yeah.
forward in time, right?
If I didn't value that, why would I
Right.
would be less likely to
Right.
spend time with them and
Yeah, and that